Heard. I spent the whole night cooking their favorite dish to surprise them, but when they came home, they looked at the table once, said they already ate with friends, and left me sitting alone staring at the cold food. I spent the whole night cooking their favorite dish to surprise them, but when they came home, they looked at the table once, said they already ate with friends, and left me sitting alone staring at the cold food. That was 3 months ago. Now I'm sitting in my studio apartment, typing this on a laptop balanced on a TV tray, because I can't afford real furniture anymore. The irony isn't lost on me. I need to tell someone what I did, what I destroyed. Maybe if I write it all down, the weight in my chest will lift just enough for me to breathe again. My name is Sarah, and I ruined the best thing that ever happened to me. David and I were together for 6 years. 6 beautiful, stable, boring years. We had routines: Sunday morning pancakes, Wednesday movie nights. He'd leave little notes in my lunch bag. I'd buy him those expensive energy drinks he loved but felt guilty purchasing for himself. We weren't passionate anymore. We were comfortable, predictable, safe. God, what I wouldn't give for safe right now. It started innocently enough, doesn't it always? A new guy at work, Marcus. Tall, confident, the kind of guy who made jokes that had the whole break room laughing. He paid attention to me in ways David had stopped doing years ago. Remembered details about my presentations. Asked about my weekend plans. Boyfriend's lucky, he said one day. Her lingering by my desk after everyone else had left. I should have walked away then. Should have mentioned David's name more. Should have put pictures of us together. Instead, I felt a flutter I hadn't experienced in years. We're engaged actually, I corrected. But my voice was soft, almost apologetic, even luckier then. His smile was dangerous. The flirting escalated over weeks. Text messages that started professional and slowly turned personal. Coffee breaks that ran long. Shared glances across meeting rooms that made my heart race in ways David's presence hadn't in years. I told it was harmless. Just attention. Just feeling wanted again. Just remembering what it felt like to be desired instead of taken for granted. The night everything changed, David had been working late again. 3rd time that week, he was putting in extra hours for a promotion he'd been chasing for months. For us. For our future. For the house we'd been saving for. I was angry that night. Angry that he'd cancelled our dinner plans. Angry that he prioritized work over me. Angry that I felt invisible in my own relationship. Marcus texted, "Drinks, look like could use one." I stared at that message for 20 minutes. My engagement ring caught the light from my phone screen and for a moment, the weight of it felt suffocating instead of comforting. "1 drink, I typed back. 1 drink became 3. 3 became his hand on my lower back as he guided me to a quieter booth. Quiet became intimate. Intimate became his lips against my ear, telling me how beautiful I was, how alive I seemed, how my fiancé didn't deserve me if he couldn't see what was right in front of him. I thought about David, probably hunched over his computer, eating vending machine dinner, working toward our shared dreams. The guilt should have stopped me. It didn't. Marcus in that dark booth, and it felt like coming alive after months of sleepwalking. When he suggested going back to his place, I didn't hesitate. I cheated on David that night. Completely. Deliberately. With someone who whispered all the things I'd been starving to hear. I came home at 2 a.m. to find David asleep on the couch, still in his work clothes. There was a plate covered in foil on the counter with a note. Made favorite pasta. Thought might be hungry when got back from girls' night. Love, D. Girls' night. The lie had texted him hours earlier. I stood there looking at his sleeping face, peaceful and trusting, and felt something inside my chest. But it wasn't guilt. Not yet. It was the terrifying realization that I wanted to do it again. And I did. Again and again over the next 2 months. Each time telling it would be the last. Each time inventing new lies, new excuses, new reasons why David was the problem and I deserved better. Marcus made me feel electric, dangerous, young. He took me to restaurants David couldn't afford, bought me clothes that made me feel sexy, told me I was wasting my playing house with someone who treated me like a roommate instead of a goddess. I started picking fights with David, criticizing his clothes, his job, his ambitions, making him feel small so I could feel justified in seeking bigger elsewhere. The worse I treated him, the more Marcus praised me for, finally standing for. David tried harder, brought me flowers, planned surprise date nights, asked what was wrong, how he could fix it, what he could do to make me happy again. Nothing's wrong. I'd lie, then text Marcus about how suffocated I felt. The beginning of the end came on a Tuesday. I was supposed to have dinner with David's parents. His mom had been planning it for weeks, wanted to discuss wedding details. I canceled last minute, claiming work emergency, and went to Marcus's apartment instead. David's mom called me 3 times that night. I let it ring, too busy being someone else entirely. When I finally came home the next morning, David was sitting at our kitchen table with his laptop closed in front of him. His eyes were red. "My mom waited until 10 p.m. last night," he said quietly. "She made favorite dessert." The guilt hit me like a physical. His mother adored me, had always treated me like the daughter she never had. The disappointment in David's voice was devastating. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "Work was crazy, I couldn't get away." He nodded. But something in his eyes had changed. Trust, maybe, or hope. Something vital had shifted, and I could feel it slipping away. I should have ended it with Marcus then. Should have confessed everything and begged David to forgive me. Should have fought for what we had before it was too late. Instead, I got better at lying. The final night I spent 3 hours preparing David's favorite meal. Lasagna from scratch, homemade garlic bread, the works. I'd been with Marcus that afternoon. But guilt was finally eating me alive. I wanted to do something nice for David, something to prove to that I still loved him. Maybe I was trying to convince I could have both. The excitement of the affair and the security of David. The thrill and the safety net. David came home at 8 p.m. tie loosened looking exhausted. He saw the table I'd set candles and all, and his face lit with surprise and gratitude. "This looks amazing, Sarah. What's the occasion?" Before I could answer, his phone buzzed, then again. He glanced at it and his expression changed completely. The color drained from his face. "What's wrong?" I asked, but I already knew. Somehow I already knew. He turned his phone screen toward me. Photos of me and Marcus at dinner 2 nights ago, his hand on my thigh. My head thrown back in laughter. Another of us kissing outside his apartment building. The text was from his coworker Jason. Jason's girlfriend worked at the restaurant where Marcus had taken me. "Thought she'd know. I'm sorry, man." David stared at me across our beautiful dinner table, and I watched 6 years of love in his eyes. "How long?" he asked. I couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. The lasagna was still steaming between us, filling the air with the smell of home and normalcy and everything I'd just destroyed. "Long, Sarah." 2 months, I whispered. He nodded slowly, like he was processing something he'd already suspected. "I've been working overtime to afford the ring upgrade wanted. The bigger diamond." The engagement ring on my finger suddenly felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. "David, I can explain." "No." His voice was steady, but his hands were shaking. "Can't." He looked at the table once at all my effort and guilt-driven domesticity, and said, "I already ate with friends." Then he walked past me the stairs, and I heard our bedroom door close. I sat alone at that table for hours, watching the candles down to nothing, watching the perfect meal grow cold and congealed, watching my entire crumble around a dinner no one would eat. That was 3 months ago, and I haven't spoken to David since. Tomorrow I have to face the consequences of what I've become. But tonight, I need all to know. The momentary thrill of feeling wanted by someone new is not worth destroying the person who wanted all along. Asked for updates. I didn't have any to give. It's been 2 weeks since my last post, and I'm learning that rock bottom has a basement, and that basement has a sub-basement, and apparently I'm still digging. The morning after David found out, I woke alone in our bed. The sheets on his side were cold and untouched. I found him downstairs, fully dressed, suitcase by the door. "Heard. I'm staying at my brother's," he said without looking at me. His voice was hollow, like someone had scooped out everything that made him David and left behind an empty shell. "Can we talk about this, please?" He finally looked at me then, and I saw something worse than anger. I saw nothing. Complete emotional flatline. "There's nothing to talk about, Sarah. Made choice 2 months ago. Every day for 2 months made that same choice." I wanted to argue, to explain, to make him understand that it wasn't that simple. But standing there in my pajamas, watching him prepare to leave the we'd built together, I realized he was right. Every lie, every secret meeting, every time I came home and him hello with Marcus's taste still on my lips, those were all choices. "What about the wedding?" I asked desperately. "What about our plans?" "What wedding, Sarah?" "Think I'm gonna marry someone who's been living a double for months." The way he said it made me feel like something dirty he'd found stuck to his shoe. I whispered. "No, don't." His certainty was devastating. People who love each other don't do what did. They don't lie every single day. They don't make the person they love feel crazy for sensing something was wrong. That hit me like a... All those times David had asked if everything was okay, if I was happy, if there was something I needed to tell him. I'd made him doubt his own instincts while I was out betraying everything we'd built. After he left, I called Marcus. I needed anyone to tell me this would all work out somehow. He was holding back anyway, Marcus said, and I could hear traffic in the background. He was probably driving to work like it was any other day. "No, we can be together for real. Be together for real." The words felt foreign and wrong. I'd been living in a fantasy where Marcus was the exciting escape from my boring, but I'd never actually pictured a real future with him. Grocery shopping together, meeting his parents, building something lasting. "I think I need some time," I told him. "Sarah, just got freedom. Why would waste it thinking about some guy who couldn't even keep interested?" The casual cruelty in his voice made my stomach turn. This was the man I'd thrown away 6 years for. Someone who saw David's pain as a victory. I hung on him. It was the first good decision I'd made in months, but it was already too late. By that afternoon, the story had spread through our friend group like wildfire. Jason, David's coworker who'd sent the photos, had apparently told his girlfriend everything. His girlfriend told her sister told her coworkers. In our small city, news travels fast, especially when it's this juicy. My phone started buzzing with texts from our mutual friends. Most of them weren't checking on me. They were asking if it was true. Like they were collecting gossip for their next dinner party story. "Ravid, sweet, loyal David. How could a girl, what we're thinking? Is it true we're cheating for months?" The worst ones were the concerned messages. "Just wanted to know I'm here if need to talk." Translation: I want all the dirty details. Only my best friend Emma called me directly. "Sarah, what the?" Her voice was sharp with disbelief. David called James, crying. Actual tears. I've never seen a grown man look so broken. James was Emma's husband. They'd been couple friends with us for years. Double dates, game nights, weekend trips. I realized I'd probably lost them too. "Just happened," I said weakly. "Just happened. For 2 months. While he was working overtime to buy a bigger ring. While we're planning a wedding together. That doesn't just happen, Sarah. That's a choice made every single day." She was right, but hearing it from my best friend felt like being stabbed. "Don't understand," I tried to explain. Things with David had gotten so routine, so predictable. I felt invisible. "So talk to him. Go to counseling. Don't betray the one person who's loved unconditionally for 6 years. The line went quiet for a moment. "Emma, I can't do this right now," she said finally. "David is family to us. Know that." "And what did?" "I don't even know who her anymore." She hung. That was the last time we spoke. The social isolation hit faster than I'd expected. Our entire friend group, built over years of relationships and shared experiences, evaporated overnight. Group chats went silent when I joined. Plans were made without me. Invitations stopped coming. I became a cautionary tale whispered about at dinner parties I was no longer invited to. Work became unbearable. Marcus acted like nothing had changed, still flirting, still suggesting we grab drinks. But now his attention felt slimy instead of exciting. I could see him for what he really was, someone who got off on helping people destroy their lives. When I told him we were done, he shrugged. Loss, he said. Had a good thing with me and throwing it away for what? Some fantasy that boring fiancé will take back. He was right about one thing, it was a fantasy. David wasn't coming back. But Marcus was wrong about everything else. I wasn't losing a good thing by ending it with him. I'd lost the good thing months ago when I'd chosen him over David. The worst part was David's family. His mother, who'd planned to be my mother-in-law, who'd included me in family traditions and holidays for years. His father, who'd taught me to change a tire and called me his future daughter-in-law. They didn't reach out. The silence was deafening. 2 weeks after David moved out, his brother came by to collect his remaining things. I answered the door hoping it might be David, ready to try working things out. It wasn't. He doesn't want to see, Mike said without preamble. Ever. He wanted me to make that clear. I watched Mike load boxes of David's into his truck, books we'd read together, the coffee maker he'd bought for my birthday, the picture frames that had held photos of us now face down and emptied. How is he? I asked pathetically. Mike looked at me with pure disgust. How do you think he is? The woman he planned to spend his with was lying to his face for months. He's devastated. He's questioning everything about himself, wondering what he did wrong to make cheat. He didn't do anything wrong, I said quickly. I know that, but he doesn't. He thinks he must have been a terrible partner for to do what did. He's talking about moving across the country, starting over somewhere no one knows what happened. The thought of David leaving, of him carrying this pain to some distant city where I'd never even have the chance to apologize properly, made me feel sick. Can't tell him I'm sorry. That I love him. That I made a terrible mistake. Mike slammed the truck door harder than necessary. Don't get to love him, Sarah. Gave that right when chose to destroy him for some office fling. And don't get to feel better by apologizing. Some things can't be fixed with sorry. He drove away, taking the last pieces of my old with him. That night, I found scrolling through David's social media, torturing with glimpses of his new reality. He'd changed his relationship status from engaged to single. The photos of us were gone. In their place were pictures with friends I didn't recognize, probably new people from his brother's circle who didn't know me or what I'd done. He looked tired, older. Like someone had dimmed his light. I'd done that to him. I'd taken someone who loved freely and openly and made him doubt his worth. I'd turned his trusting nature into a liability he'd probably never recover from. The wedding venue called the next day. We'd put down a deposit 8 months ago, back when we were happy and planning our future together. The woman on the phone was professionally sympathetic but firm, no refunds. I understand these things happen, she said kindly, but we've already ordered flowers and coordinated with vendors based on guest count. $3,000. Gone, just another casualty of my selfishness. I started having panic. Waking in the middle of the night, heart racing, sweating, feeling like the walls were closing in. The apartment felt too big and too small at the same time. Too big because David's absence echoed in every room. Too small because I was trapped there with my guilt and shame. My sister finally called after weeks of silence. Mum told me what happened. She said without preamble, "Are okay?" The question broke something in me. No one had asked if I was okay. Everyone was rightfully concerned about David, the victim, while I was left to drown in the consequences of my choices. No, I sobbed into the phone. I'm not okay. I ruined everything and I don't know how to fix it. Can't fix it, she said gently but firmly. That's the point. Some mistakes don't get fixed, Sarah. They just get lived with. I want him back. I whispered. Heard, I know do. But what want doesn't matter anymore. Lost the right to want things from David when betrayed him. She stayed on the phone while I cried, but she didn't offer false hope or empty comfort. She just witnessed my breakdown with the brutal honesty I needed but didn't want to hear. After we hung, I sat alone in my living room, looking at the space where David used to sit to watch TV, his favorite spot on the couch. The indent was already fading. I realized I was mourning someone who was still alive, still in the same city, still breathing the same air. But he might as well have been dead to me. I'd killed the version of David who loved me, who trusted me, who saw a future with me. And I'd killed the version of who deserved to be loved by someone like him. The loneliness is crushing, but it's nothing compared to the knowledge that I chose this. Every single piece of my destroyed is the direct result of decisions I made. I can't blame David for being boring. I can't blame Marcus for being manipulative. I can't blame circumstances or bad timing or anything else. This is what I built with my choices and now I have to live in it. This is my last post. After this, I'm deleting this account and trying to disappear into whatever's left of my. It's been a month since chapter 2, and I've learned that consequences have consequences. That the shockwaves from one selfish choice can keep destroying things long after think hit bottom. I thought losing David was the worst thing that could happen to me. I was wrong. 3 weeks ago I ran into David's mom at the grocery store. I saw her first, standing in the pasta aisle, and my heart leaped with pathetic hope. Maybe she'd talk to me. Maybe she'd tell me David was okay. Maybe she'd give me some pathway back to forgiveness. Instead, when she spotted me, her face crumpled. This woman who'd hug me at every holiday, who'd taught me her famous cookie recipe, who'd called me her future daughter. She looked at me like I was something that had crawled out from under a rock. How could, she whispered loud enough for other shoppers to hear, how could do that to my son? I wanted to explain, to apologize, to somehow make her understand, but the pain in her eyes stopped me cold. This wasn't just about David anymore, I'd her too. I'd stolen her excitement about gaining a daughter. I'd made her watch her son fall apart. He won't eat, she continued, tears streaming down her face. He's lost 20 pounds. He had to go to counseling because he can't sleep. He trusted with everything and destroyed him. People were staring now. A small crowd of witnesses to my public shaming. I deserved it, but that didn't make it easier. Mrs. Chen, I'm so sorry. Don't. Her voice was sharp. Don't dare apologize to me. Don't get to make feel better with words. Don't get anything from us anymore. She walked away, leaving me standing there with a basket of frozen dinners for one, fighting back tears while strangers whispered about the drama they'd just witnessed. That night, I googled David's name. I don't know why I tortured like that, but I needed to know if what his mother said was true. If I'd really damaged him that badly. I found his LinkedIn profile. New job, in Seattle, 3,000 miles away from everything we'd built together. The boy who'd never lived more than an hour from his family had fled across the country to escape the wreckage of us. His profile picture was professional, composed, but I could see it in his eyes. The light was dimmer. The easy smile I'd fallen in love with was replaced by something guarded and careful. I'd done that to him. I'd made someone who loved openly learn to protect himself from people like me. The comments on his job announcement were telling. Fresh start, buddy, deserve it, saddle's lucky to have. Their loss is our gain. Some people don't know what they have until it's gone. Time to find someone who appreciates point. They were talking about me. About us. About how I'd become the cautionary tale that made people appreciate their own relationships more. Work became impossible. Marcus had moved to a different department, but the damage was done. Everyone knew what had happened. I could feel the judgment in every meeting, every hallway conversation that stopped when I walked by. My boss Jennifer called me into her office on a Wednesday. Sarah, I need to talk to about performance lately. I'd been distracted, missing deadlines, making mistakes. My personal had bled into my professional one until everything was stained with failure. I know, going through a difficult time, she continued diplomatically. But this is affecting work and, frankly, the office environment. People are uncomfortable. I'd made an entire workplace uncomfortable with my poor choices. I think it might be best if took some time off. Unpaid leave. To get personal affairs in order. Translation: we don't want here anymore. I cleaned out my desk that afternoon while most people were in meetings, trying to avoid the stares and whispers. 5 years of career building gone. Another casualty of my selfishness. The financial pressure started immediately. Without my income, I couldn't afford our apartment. David's name was on the lease too, but he was gone, and I couldn't exactly ask him to help with rent after what I'd done to him. I moved back in with my parents at 28 years old. The room I'd left at 18, her decorated with high school memories and dreams of the future I'd just torched. My mother was kind but distant. She'd loved David like a son. Had already been planning what to wear to our wedding. I don't understand how could throw away someone who loved so much, she said quietly while helping me unpack. David was good to. He would have been a wonderful husband, father to children. Another loss I hadn't fully processed. David and I had talked about kids. Names we liked, how many we wanted, what kind of parents we'd be together. I'd destroyed that future too. Not just for me but for the children who would never exist now because I'd blown the foundation they would have been built on. I made a mistake, I said weakly. This wasn't a mistake, sakes or accidents. What did was a series of deliberate choices over months. That's not a mistake, that's character. The word hit like a physical. My own mother questioning my fundamental nature as a person. I spent most days in that childhood bedroom, scrolling social media and torturing with glimpses of everyone else's happiness. Emma and James celebrated their anniversary with posts about trust and commitment. Other friends shared engagement photos, wedding planning updates, couples vacations, had moved on without me. The space I'd occupied in our friend group had closed like water, leaving no trace I'd ever been there. 2 months after moving back home, I saw the post that broke me completely. David's engagement announcement. Her name was Claire. She was beautiful in a natural, understated way. Kind eyes, genuine smile. Everything I used to be before I poisoned with discontent and selfishness. The ring was simple, elegant, nothing like the bigger diamond I demanded. The comments were telling. Finally, someone who deserves. She's beautiful, David. So happy for both. Fast engagement, but when no. After everything went through. Deserve this happiness. After everything went through. They meant me. I was the everything he'd had to overcome to find love again. 8 months he'd met, fallen in love with, and proposed to someone else in the time it took me to destroy our 6-year relationship and lose everything I'd ever cared about. The worst part wasn't that he'd moved on. It was how happy he looked. Genuinely, radiantly happy in ways I'd forgotten he could be. The light was back in his eyes. The easy smile had returned. He'd healed from the damage I'd done and found someone worthy of the love I'd thrown away. I wanted to her, this Claire who'd gotten the version of David I'd destroyed. But looking at their photos together, seeing how he looked at her with the same adoration he'd once reserved for me, I could only. She got the good morning texts I'd started ignoring. The surprise dates I'd found boring. The unconditional support I'd taken for granted. The future I'd traded for momentary excitement with someone who forgot my name the moment I stopped being useful. That night I wrote David a letter. Pages and pages of apologies, explanations, desperate pleas for forgiveness. I told him about the grocery store encounter with his mother, about losing my job, about moving back home. I begged him to understand that I'd learned from my mistakes, that I'd never anyone like that again. I never sent it. What would be the point? He'd found happiness without me. Why would I that with my regret? Instead, I burned it in my parents' fireplace and watched my words turn to ash. The wedding was 2 weeks ago. I only knew because our old mutual friends posted photos. Beautiful ceremony, gorgeous bride, groom who looked like he'd won the lottery. David's mother was radiant, finally getting to gain a daughter who deserved the title. I spent that day in bed, mourning not just what I'd lost, but what I'd prevented from ever having again. Because that's the real consequence I'm living with now, not just losing David, but losing the ability to be someone worthy of love like that. Trust is like virginity. Once it's gone forever. I'll carry the label of cheater with me into every future relationship. Every new partner will wonder if I'm texting someone else, if I'm telling the truth, if they can depend on me when things get hard. I've made unlovable in the most fundamental way. The friends are gone, the career is damaged, the reputation is destroyed, the family is disappointed. But those are just external consequences. The internal ones are worse. I wake every day knowing I'm the villain in the story of the best relationship I'll ever have. Or I'm the cautionary tale people tell their friends about what not to do. I'm proof that some people don't deserve good things. I've become someone I can barely stand to live with, and I have to live with her forever. Last week, I started seeing a therapist. Not because I think I can fix what I've broken, but because I need to understand how I became someone capable of such cruelty. How I looked at genuine love and decided it wasn't enough. She asked me what I learned from all this. That actions have consequences, I said. That's what everyone learns, she replied. What did specifically learn about? The answer came out before I could stop it. That I'm the kind of person who destroys beautiful things because I can't handle being happy with enough. And what are going to do with that knowledge? Try to become someone different. Someone better. Someone who might someday deserve a fraction of what I weigh. But here's the truth I'm finally ready to face. It doesn't matter who I become now. The person I was when I made those choices is who I really am. Everything else is just damage control. I see couples everywhere now in restaurants, parks, grocery stores, and I want to shake them. Want to tell them to hold tight or appreciate more, choose each other every single day. Want to warn them that the grass isn't greener anywhere else. It's just different grass that will just as easily if don't water it. But I can't. Because I'm the woman who had everything and it away for nothing. Who are they going to listen to, the person who built something beautiful, or the one who destroyed it? Or, if we're reading this and are in a relationship, fighting about things, feeling bored or taken for granted or wondering if there's something better out there, there isn't. There's just different. Hurt and different comes with the price of losing the person who loves enough to be boring and reliable and there. I had someone who would have moved mountains for me, and I traded him for someone who wouldn't even remember my birthday. I had forever, and I chose right now. I had everything and I chose nothing. Don't be me. The view from rock bottom isn't worth the fall.